Are we ready? Okay. The meeting of the Committee on Accountability, Finance, and Personnel of the Board of School Directors will please come to order. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Director Herndon has asked to be excused this evening. Director O'Halloran,
Here.
Director Reza,
Here.
Director Zomber,
Present.
and Director Jackson.
Present.
That's 4 present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. The chair will now ask the secretary to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The chair invites any members of the audience who wish to participate to do so and asks that those who do not wish to participate please remain silent during the pledge. This meeting is being conducted from the Central Services Building. This meeting is also broadcast on the MPS YouTube stream, the links to which may be found on the MPS website on the broadcast page. For our listening audience, if you wish to access this evening's agenda items and attachments online, you may do so by visiting the Meetings, Agendas, and Minutes page of the MPS website. Before we begin tonight's meeting, we have a short announcement regarding interpretation services for the Spanish-speaking members of our audience.
Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a la Junta Escolar de las Escuelas Públicas de Milwaukee. Si deseas escuchar esta reunión en español, por favor llame al 312-626-6799. Otra vez, 312-626-6799. Introduzca el número de reunión 608-130-5362. Nuevamente, el número de reunión es 608-130-5362. Gracias.
For each of our items of business, we will hold a discussion and public hearing. If you wish to speak, please fill out a speaker slip and bring it to our secretary, Dr. Owen Moore. We do have 2 speakers registered to speak virtually this evening. For the sake of fairness tonight and to give everyone a chance to speak, the chair reserves the right to limit the length of time allowed to any one speaker. Disruptive or disrespectful behavior will not be permitted. If it occurs, the meeting may be paused and those involved may be asked to step outside so we can continue in a safe and productive manner. Thank you for helping us ensure a positive experience for everyone. And now, given that our focus this year is literacy, we have some help with our messages from one of our young readers. Oakland is a 2nd grader at Story School.
Welcome to tonight's committee meeting. The committee will accept public comments on tonight's agenda items. Speakers may only address the item for which they have registered. Questions from the public may not be answered during the public committee comment, period. Following public comment, the committee will begin its discussion and no additional committees will be accepted. When you are called upon to speak, please state your name and spell your last name for the record like this: Tamika Jones, Jones. Written testimony will also be accepted for transmittal to the board. Send this testimony to the Office of Board Governance, P.O. Box 2181, Milwaukee, Wisconsin 53201 2181, or email it to governance@milwaukee.k12.wisconsin.us. Just as a reminder, Robert's Rules of Order dictates that all comments, questions, or requests should be directed to the chair, who will determine the most efficient way to address them. Also, no one other than members of the board, designated staff, and those who have been invited to present or participate in items of business will be allowed on stage before, during, or after meetings of the board and its committees.
Thank you, Oakland. If you have a child that would like to read for the board meeting, send a message to governance@milwaukee.k12.wi.us. So appreciate having these young readers demonstrate their skills. Some of these words are not very easy, so I'm always so impressed with these young scholars. So thank you. With that, let's begin. There are several items that come each month as routine matters under a consent agenda. We will have one public comment period on consent agenda matters. After the public comment period, if board members wish to speak or ask questions on specific items, they may set those items aside for separate discussion by the board. No additional public comments will be accepted after the initial comment period. Any items that are not set aside will be approved with one motion. We will not have formal presentations on consent agenda items. Madam Secretary, do any members of the public wish to comment on this evening's consent agenda items?
I do not believe we have any speaker slips on the consent agenda, unless you have any. Do you have one?
I do have one.
You
I
have
didn't
one.
know if
Okay.
any of the, sorry, I should have specified. Do we have any speakers registered on the virtual platform for the consent agenda?
Not for the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you. Then, before we jump in, I'll just call that speaker to the front for the testimony, so that would be Mr. Quentin Claybon. Nope, let's wait until the microphone gets on. One second, please.
We are working on getting that turned on.
It's a team effort.
Trying to.
Hello, hello.
Okay, perfect. Can you
Gonna get you started.
say your first and last name and spell your last name, please?
Yes, thank you. Quentin Claybon, K-L-A-B-O-N. Thank you so much. I want to add what context I have for the purchase of Houghton Mifflin Harcourt into Reading 2025 version. Academic Superintendent Belhaman has mentioned that Milwaukee Public Schools can be reimbursed about $4 million for it under Act 20 related funding. This is true if the specific curriculum and specific version ends up on the State Early Literacy Curriculum Council's list. The council is very strict, reading every grade level and every lesson of every curriculum. National education experts called the council's original list of 4 the best in the nation. Right now, only the 2022 version 2, was added to the original list of 4, and due to the flaws discussed last month, is only funded if you buy a Mira along with it for foundational skills. The council was supposed to have the version you're reviewing, the 2025 version, already, but council turnover delayed their start. They could only discuss it last week and didn't finish. This is my judgment. After watching the meeting and reading between the lines of what those members look for, I am optimistic that Houghton Mifflin Harcourt fixed the flaws of the 2022 edition. I lean toward the council approving the curriculum without Milwaukee needing to purchase additional modules. Regarding funding, public instruction has said funding will come this fiscal year. However, the council's delay, the quantity of work involved, and the legislature approval checkpoint leads me to estimate it will complete curriculum review by May 2026 at the earliest. Because of that timeline and mixed messages from public instruction on funding timing, it's possible the reimbursement would not come until the next fiscal year. One last consideration is there's a limited amount of money for curriculum reimbursement, but a surprisingly small number of districts and students have requested funding. So even Milwaukee's large request should be granted. So in summary, it is up in the air whether the Department of Public Instruction will reimburse Milwaukee Public Schools and when they would do so. However, I lean toward DPI reimbursing the full eligible 50% of the cost, but I lean against them reimbursing it this fiscal year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Claybon. All right. Before we move on, are there any items on the consent agenda that board members wish to set aside? Director Zombor?
Could I set aside item 5, please?
Yes. Any items over here? No. Okay. And just for the listening audience and Madam Secretary, would you please note that Director Simpson has joined the meeting, please? Yeah, thank you. All right, so we will turn to item number 5, please. Director Zombor, would you like to make comments or ask questions?
Could we actually have the Office of Accountability and Efficiency speak to one of the contracts on that item?
Absolutely. Mr. Chasen?
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran, Matt Chasen, Office of Accountability and Efficiency. It's not uncommon that we occasionally will see contracts whereby our student employment or career education requirements maybe got missed on the contract and we had them. Tonight's actually the converse. There are some student employment and career education requirements on the ZS architectural engineering contract that shouldn't be there. They did not appear on the RFP based on the original quoting and bidding. It has not been our practice to then sort of pull a bait and switch on the vendor after the fact. So if a motion could be made, that would, yeah.
Looks like I'm going to turn it over to Director Zombor.
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. I move that we remove the current student and career education requirements in the ZS architectural engineering contract and replace with student and career education requirements of 0%.
Thank you for that motion. Administration, do you have any comments or questions before we move to voting? Okay, looks like administration's okay with that. Madam Secretary, since this was pulled aside, just as a procedural question, we vote on this one and then the balance?
Yes, we would typically do the balance first, but
Okay.
we'll go ahead and vote on this one and just
We have
change
a
our
motion on
language a
the
little.
floor, yeah, so, okay,
Okay.
all right.
And then Director Zomber's motion to remove the current student and career education requirements and replace with student and career education requirements of 0% in the 2S architectural engineering contract. Director O'Halloran?
Aye.
Chair O'Halloran. Director Reza?
Aye.
Director Zomber?
Aye.
And Director Jackson.
Question first. So with the contract, there was no student participation with the original one?
We'll pass that
Mr.
one on to
Chasen.
Mr. Chasen.
Thank you for the question, Matt Jason OE. When this particular contract was released to the public via RFP, the quoting was that it would not reach the threshold whereby these requirements would be in place. We generally try to lean towards as much opportunity to have students apply there as we can, but we recognize there are certain dollar thresholds that have not met, do not value, nor are they in the interest of either the vendor or the organization to apply the requirements. Since those requirements were not on the RFP, their presence here in this contract is problematic, whereby we don't want a vendor to feel like we're moving things, shifting the goalposts on them once they've already responded to an RFP. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. So my answer, aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you.
Now we'll go back.
Before we move on to the consent agenda, can I just, or the balance of the consent agenda items, administration, do you have any comments on the Houghton Mifflin issue before we consider this?
Chair O'Halloran and members, what I can tell you is that I have been in conversations with the Deputy Superintendent of DPI, who has spoken with his lawyers about our adoption. And so I feel comfortable that we will be able to reimburse. I'm not certain the total of reimbursement at this point, but I am certain that we will be able to apply for reimbursement.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or concerns before we consider a motion for the balance of the consent agenda items? I see no hands. Do I have a motion for the balance of the consent agenda items? Director Jackson?
I move to approve the balance of the consent agenda items.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director Jackson's motion to approve the balance of the items on the consent agenda, Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
Director Reza,
Aye.
and Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Before we move on, the chair would like to congratulate all the candidates recommended for appointment, promotion, or transfer. We celebrate this important step in your career journey and appreciate your commitment to serving Milwaukee Public Schools. Yeah, okay. Applause, applause. Madam Secretary, what is the next item of business, please?
Chair, we are now back to the remainder of the agenda. The next item is action on the possible sunset of requirements of Resolution 2223R-013 on food justice. In January of 2023, the Board adopted Resolution 2223R-013. The resolution directed that the requirements therein sunset in January of 2026 unless the Board directs otherwise. The recommendation is that the Board determine how it wishes to proceed.
Thank you. Would the administration please present this item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Caselli as superintendent. We're pleased to share that the Food Justice Task Force and the Food Advisory Committee are recommended to join together to advance coordinated efforts focused on making thoughtful recommendations, elevating student voice, and fostering collaboration, and addressing challenges to improve food systems and experiences across all of our school communities. By uniting this work, we're going to strengthen our collective impact and improve upon what we're already able to offer to our community. The requirements of Resolution 223R-013 have been met, and the work will continue and be further strengthened through this merged effort. Accordingly, the administration recommends that Resolution 2223R-013 be sunset. And I also have Mr. Terza here, who has a little bit more information that he'd like to share as well about the task force.
Mr. Terza?
Chairman O'Halloran, members of the board, the Food Advisory Committee was established to improve the quality and experience of the school meal program. The mission of the Food Advisory Committee is to make school food a reason kids come to school. Improving the school meal program was one of the first projects Superintendent Casilius directed me to work on. The Food Advisory Committee was set up to provide a framework to receive input from parents, students, schools, community members, and professionals in the food preparation arena. It will be the foundation for a 3 to 5 year school nutrition services strategic plan. The Food Advisory Committee goals are to strengthen collaboration among students, families, staff, and partners to support the MPS school nutrition services in achieving its mission to provide nutritious meals to students within the USDA guidelines and within budget. It's to identify opportunities and solutions that help MPS navigate system-level barriers while maintaining compliance within those federal guidelines. It's to promote menus and cafeteria environments that make healthy, delicious food an easy choice for every student. It's to elevate student and family voices to ensure that school meals reflect cultural relevance, taste preferences, local sourcing, and community values. Support is to support efforts to increase student participation by identifying barriers and creating strategies that make the school cafeteria a welcoming and enjoyable place. Finally, it is to provide MPS with constructive, data-informed recommendations that celebrate progress and encourage innovations. The Food Advisory Committee had its first meeting on June 17th, with additional meetings on July 8th and October 21st. Initially, the Food Advisory Committee had 15 members. Its roster has been expanded to 18 members with 3 students, 3 parents, 2 teachers, 3 community partners, 2 culinary professionals, and 2 elected officials, and 3 MPS staff. Through a collaboration with Food Right, their Good School Food Advocates program, which will train and mobilize parents and students to advocate for healthy school meals, we will use these parents and students to serve as additional resources to the Food Advisory Committee. The initial meetings focused on foundational information such as the USDA regulations, menu preparations, budget and costs, and food sourcing. Subsequent meetings will focus on expanding participation and menu choices, local procurement, communication and marketing, infrastructure, and cafeteria design. The Food Advisory Committee will meet throughout the 26 and 27 school years. The administration can provide the board with periodic updates, if so desires, of its progress. Thank you, and if you have any questions, I'm available to answer.
Thank you, administration. So we do have 2 speaker slips, and I know we have 2 people on the platform. So can we go to the virtual platform first and see if they're still there?
Let's see. Anita Garrett, are you there? Anita Garrett, are you available on the virtual platform? Okay, let's go ahead and try the others.
Okay.
Yvette Wright. Yvette, are you available? All right, let's go
Okay.
with the in-person and we'll check technology.
Sounds good. Thank you. So our first speaker tonight is Ms. Ingrid Walker-Henry, please. Wait, mic check.
Hello.
There we are.
Good evening. Ingrid Walker Henry, WALKER-HENRY, President of the Milwaukee Teachers Education Association. MTEA is not in support of sunsetting the resolution of the Food Justice Task Force. Youth empowered in the struggle students have worked on food justice for years, well before the 2023 resolution. The items listed in the resolution are not completed. And what that means is the work of the students and the workers on that committee needs to continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ms. Luz Hernandez. Oh, I'm sorry. I will register that you do not wish to speak, but also do not support this item of the sunsetting. All right. So we're back to, drum roll please, do we have our virtual speakers?
I think that we do. Switch to aux.
And I thank everybody for their patience.
We are just trying to switch it to our
Okay.
virtual speakers here.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there we are.
There we are.
Okay, I'm sorry. My name is Anita Garrett, and that is spelled A-N-I-T-A, Garrett with a G-A-R-R-E-T-T. I am here tonight. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here, but I am here tonight as an MPS grandparent and also a Milwaukee community member, and as a graduate of the Good School Food Advocacy Program and Project. Partnership with MPS and Food Right that provides MPS parents and community members with education about the USDA National School Lunch and Breakfast Program and wellness. I am an advocate and I aim to work with food system experts to bring more local produce foods for MPS students. In the past, there has been efforts to improve our school meal offering through the Food Justice Task Force. But moving forward, I believe the most effective path to making improvement is to focus on the MPS Food Advisory Committee that has already made strides forward in this work. Many of the goals in the MPS Advisory Committee are similar to those of the Food Justice Task Force, but as a nutrition standards has been studied, set, and mandated by the USDA, and which MPS follows, I would like to shift that focus on continue to make a realistic step forward to provide students with more scratch-cooked, cultural, relevant, and student-loved meals. While we respect and applaud the mission of the Youth Empowered Struggle, the YES Group, the Food Justice Task Force and the MPS Advisory Committee offer an exclusive and collaboration structure to set needs change to accountability steps, improving to continue to include and amplify the voice of the yes. This diversity committee includes community members, representatives from leaders union, peoples of community, families, food rights, chefs, and school board system experts, Kim Much, and currently the nutrition service, Renee. We are excited that representing the Good School Food Youth Advocacy will soon be an opportunity to serve on this committee, as well as member of the Good School Food Parent Ambassador, which I said I graduated from and a part of, learning so much about the USDA guidelines and the breakfast and a lunch program and how parents can be involved and uplift their voice. Thank you so much for the time to consider my thoughts. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Garrett.
Thank you.
We also have Yvette Wright. Yvette, can you hear us? Okay, she is not on.
Okay. Well, if we're able to recover that connection, that would be great. In the meantime, do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Jackson?
Yeah, so tonight, we're voting to, just to get it correct, to, as she says, sunset in this particular resolution that was made.
So administration, would you like to speak to that, please?
Chair O'Halloran and Director Jackson, we would sunset the Food Justice Task Force, but the work would continue within the advisory, and there are similar membership from the advisory on to that. I think MTA is also on the food advisory as well. And so we're not looking to shift the justice of the work. It's so important. Like Mr. Terza said, it's one of the first things that I brought in. I think I talked with Director Simpson about it as well. We started with salads this year, hope to continue to emulate it. And if anybody wants to look at what I'm hoping to be able to bring to Milwaukee Public Schools in terms of food justice for our kids, take a look to Minneapolis Public Schools. They have an amazing program, and I'm hoping we can bring that here.
Follow-up, Director Jackson?
Yeah, and I'm asking because Ms. Garrett, if anybody knows, this woman is very adamant on with this particular item, and her passion is there, as well as different members of, other spaces and the president of the MTEA as well. So I just want to make sure of what we're doing is still, it coincides with everything that they've been a part of thus far.
Director Zambor?
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran. So let's see, where do I want to start? I think in the beginning it was a little confusing having the two different bodies with different memberships. And I know over time there has been work done to include more of the Food Justice Task Force members into the advisory committee. I think I think I've heard that the scheduling maybe was changed to accommodate the students because originally the advisory committee was meeting during the day and students wouldn't be able to attend. But I guess the main difference I see between the two is one has a written document, like saying these are all the things we're going to do, and the other one is like these are the things we're probably going to do, but there's no written plan or written proposal. So I'm more likely to feel comfortable with extending the Food Justice Task Force resolution for a couple more years and then have administration incorporate the advisory committee into that body and allow administration to make any changes needed to ensure the advisory committee goals and members can be incorporated into the task force. Is that something that administration would see as feasible?
Administration?
Director O'Halloran and Director Zambor, it's the will of the committee. We are not trying to change anything. We'd like to do some strategic planning in order to direct the work and have that move forward with the next 3 to 5 years and what we want to be able to do with food here in the schools and improve that. So it's the will of the committee. We're not looking to replace it. We're looking to really make sure that we align and that we get this work moving and not have to go to two separate things.
Thank you. Director Zambor, do you have?
Yeah, I would agree with obviously not having to. I think it's good to merge the work together so that we're not duplicating efforts. I guess my question for administration is what is a good timeline for how long you think? Is it 3 to 5 years? Start with 3 years?
Administration?
Chair O'Halloran and Director Zombor, we've already started on some of the work, as I've stated, and I'll let Mr. Terza speak to kind of where he's at with the planning with the advisory.
Chairman O'Halloran, members of the committee, like I said in my remarks, we started the process with a kind of a foundational information, educating the members of the committee on USDA guidelines, budget, things like that. And so then our next phase will be to begin to explore other avenues in which, where we can improve lunch. As one of the exciting parts of this is that we do have some professional chefs who are joining us, who can help us with making food better, more tasty, more relevant to kids, but also being within the USDA guidelines, because that's very important, because that's how we get funded. And so I think the next couple of months will show quite a bit of progress within the Food Advisory Committee. And so I guess if I had preference, I would like to keep the committee going because we started. We haven't, actually, I have never met, well, I met a couple people from the Food Justice Task Force because they are on the committee, but I have not had the opportunity to be with that entire committee. So my recommendation, for what it's worth, would be to use the Food Advisory Committee as the advisory group to lead us into the next 3 to 5 years.
Director Zombor, anything else? One more?
I just want to follow up on that like the Food Justice Task Force kind of got thrown to the side when the advisory committee was started. And so to just end it without making sure that the work that the committee or the task force was created to do, and I know some of this is because we're having a lot of transition in the district right now. So I just want to be really mindful. A lot of thought and effort and time and energy went into this task force that we don't want to undo the work that was already done, because there was good work that did lead to improvements, and I know there's still more work that we have to do. But if the two are not compatible, then we should just say that and say they're not compatible. But if they are, then it makes sense to merge them and continue on.
Administration?
Chair O'Halloran and Director Zombor, Mr. Terza and I were just both saying, you know, we're new to he's been in the district, obviously, but not during the time that the resolution was put forward. So both of us didn't know, and we were creating an advisory so that we could be more inclusive and engage with everybody. So it's just easier to do with one. Happy to bring back a plan of action with the advisory as well, with a timeline, if you'd like that as one of, have that be the topic of the very next meeting of the food advisory as well.
Director Simpson? I see your hand.
Yes, thank you so much. So, right, nobody wants to do double the workload, but I do see the task force, the Food Justice Task Force, as having a unique place because of the venue it provides for students to bring their voice to, people and, board directors, people who are working at the administrative level in terms of the issues that they see at their school. And had it not been for that task force, I know I would not have known about certain problems that were occurring. I'm wondering, and I just see the value of both, but I do also see the value of merging. It's my understanding there has not been that real merger yet because of the time frame of the meetings. I know the January one is scheduled to run run at 4:30 so that students and teachers can attend if they want to. But I do wonder if we could kind of do what the superintendent, I believe, was just suggesting, maybe work with the Food Justice Task Force, develop a plan, and maybe present it at the next meeting. I mean, I'm not on this committee, so I'm just those are my 2 cents, having been to the Food Justice Task Force meetings.
Thank you, Director Seamson. And before I go to administration, I do just want to call out that in the resolution, it just says that the charge of the Food Justice Task Force is to define the challenges that are impeding the district's goals for its nutrition program and to develop a plan for possible implementation. I think that, at least from the way I'm reading it, that's wide enough to fold the committee, the new committee, into this task force and bring forward a plan. I think my personal concerns about allowing it to sunset is that also in here is a set amount of, like, a cadence of reporting that should be coming back to the board in June and January, that if we move away from this document, as Director Zambor pointed out, and it's more of a bullet points on an agenda item, it kind of loses some of the maybe more clear expectations that people were hoping to see. And so, given Director Seamson's question around this meeting in January, administration, would you feel like it's possible to take that time during that meeting and come back with, maybe recommendations on how we can keep the spirit of the Food Justice Task Force, keep that student-led focus, and but also recognize that we have some really engaged members like Ms. Garrett. How the two don't have to be mutually exclusive. I think the work can be done in concert. So administration, do you think January is for that meeting and then maybe come back with a report then in February, or how could you see this moving forward?
Director O'Halloran, members of the committee, that would be fine. We would have the meeting on January 14th, I believe the meeting is. We would invite all the members of the Food Justice Task Force to it, so we can have so we ensure that we have the full voice of the food justice, and then we could come from there with a recommendation to the board and a plan of how we would want to move forward.
Okay. Committee members, questions, concerns? Director Jackson?
I'm cool with that, but also I think it would be a slap in the face to just discontinue the work that they've already been doing for so long. And my only, a few reservations, one just being in particular with adults, there's always been change in leadership of different people on and off on our end, and they have been consistent. And that's why I am not in favor of ending that resolution for this particular group, because they've been just that consistent throughout the whole time. And their voices have been heard, and they show up with nothing but passion, as I said before, in this space. But if anything, on our end, we have to be more consistent to build that trust, because that's the area that we're lacking in. So I would, like I said before, I vote not to in the partnership and resolution.
And the resolution, to your point, does say that it sunsets in January of 2026, or set parameters for its continuation. So I think there's room within this existing framework that we can try to achieve multiple things. Director Zambor?
Okay, I think we might be overcomplicating it. So I'm going to make a motion, and it's totally
never.
fine if I won't be offended if no one supports the motion. But I move that we extend the Food Justice Task Force resolution for 3 years and allow administration to incorporate the Food Advisory Committee goals and members into the Food Justice Task Force.
Madam Secretary? Okay.
I want to make sure the last piece, and allow administration to
Incorporate Food Advisory Committee goals and members into the Food Justice Task Force.
Got it. Got it. Any other discussion?
Okay. If there's no further discussion, the Secretary will please call the roll.
On Director Zomber's motion to extend the Resolution 2223R-013 on food justice for 3 years and allow administration to incorporate the Food Advisory Committee's goals and, oh gosh, I lost that last beat.
Members.
Goals and members into the Food Justice Advisory Committee. Yes?
Into the Food Justice Task Force.
Into the Food Justice.
So the
Task-
advisory committee would merge into the task force.
Got it. Into the Food Justice Task Force. Director O'Halloran.
Aye.
Director Reza.
Aye.
Director Zomber.
Aye.
And Director Jackson.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you, and thank you, administration. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 2 is action on the request to waive Administrative Policy 3.09, Parent 9, Parent E, and issue contracts for Gear Up Grant and for trustee custodian services. The recommendation is that the board waive Administrative Policy 3.09 and authorize the professional services contracts as set forth in the attachments to this item.
Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Caselli, Superintendent. At our SASE meeting last week, we shared the exciting news that the district has been awarded a 7-year Gear Up grant. In support of this work and for trustee custodial services, the administration is requesting that the board waive Administrative Policy 3.09. To share more information, I'm joined by Janita Domchak. Following the sharing of this information, happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Chair O'Halloran, members of the committee, Janina Domchak, Director of Procurement and Risk Management. We're bringing forth today for your approval the request to waive Administrative Policy 3.09, Para 9, Para E, with respect to term and issue contracts for the Gear Up grant and also 3 contracts for trustee custodian services. The Gear Up grant MPS has been awarded is over $3 million annually per year for 7 years. Gear Up provides 6 or 7 year grants to states and partnerships to provide services at high poverty middle and high schools. Over 4,100 students will be served in 28 schools annually in areas of advising, academic enrichment, family engagement, dual enrollment, and workforce aligned pathways to ensure students graduate high school prepared for post-secondary success. The contracts will run as listed in the board item. Then we are also asking for 3 contracts with U.S. Bank National Association for trustee custodian services to be approved. These contracts are Milwaukee Board of School Directors Supplemental Early Retirement Plan for Teachers, the Early Retirement Supplement and Benefit Improvement Plan known as the Director's Plan, and the Retiree Healthcare and Life Insurance Programs known as the OPEB Trust. These contracts will be for 5 years with options to extend every 5 years unless the contracts are terminated. We're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, administration. Do committee members have any questions or comments? I don't see any committee members, so I'm going to go to Mr. Chasen, Office of Accountability and Efficiency.
Thank you, Chair O'Halloran, Matt Chasen, OIE. With respect to the 2 contracts that intersect with the work of the Retirement Plan Committee, both of those items did come through that committee. I'm going to preface everything else that I see here by saying that both the Office of OAE, the Retirement Plan Committee, and myself as the chair support the contracts you see in front of you. What I'm about to share is simply to make sure that both the Retirement Plan Committee and this committee, AF&P, satisfy its duty of care under its fiduciary responsibility. Specifically, the members of the committee had raised concerns about language that appeared in Section 11.3. It has to do with a shutdown of U.S. Bank. There's very rare instances in which that might occur. The federal government could do it if they're investigating them. Committee members simply shared that they thought that language was too advantageous to the vendor. One of the things that we've discovered when our previous vendor, who offered us the trustee custodial services, when they exited the space, there are very few vendors left. What it means is that the terms and conditions for vendors who would satisfy this business need, they sort of get to pull some of the rank on us. Now, again, I want to be clear, the Retirement Plan Committee approved the language you see. I'm simply communicating this to make sure, again, that that duty of care is noted and demonstrated. Additionally, if you would look in attachments 12 and 13 on page 31, there's a fee schedule that's blank. It is not uncommon that a vendor, because of proprietary needs, would not share that. However, I do think it would be imprudent for this body to approve it sight unseen. What I would recommend is that we approve these, or that these items go forward without recommendation, so that the fee schedule can be shared with you. Again, it would be imprudent with your fiduciary responsibility to sight unseen accept a fee schedule that's blank. There's probably a compelling reason it's not shared publicly. There's not a compelling reason that you don't get to see it as the fiduciary body. So those would be my comments on this item. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Mr. Chason. Do committee members have any questions, concerns? Administration, do you have questions or concerns that you, or remarks, response to the issues raised?
Chair O'Halloran, members of the committee, Janina Donchik, Director of Procurement and Risk Management. As I spoke with Mr. Chason prior to the start of this meeting, we will get the fee schedule to the board so that you can properly review it. Oftentimes, our vendors, as Mr. Chason alluded to, this is proprietary information which they do not want shared publicly, but we will get this information to you tomorrow morning.
Thank you. So, given those remarks, do we have a motion? Perhaps holding these two, advancing them without recommendation to the full board and asking that the fee schedule come back to the board for consideration and maybe approving balance of the attachments. Anyone?
Sounds like you just made it.
I don't know if I'm supposed to. I'm looking at Madam Secretary.
I move in motion of the recommendation of O'Halloran. Too much to say.
It sounds like Director Reza is moving to hold the two items.
Well, advancing them to the full board
Advance
without
them to the full
recommendation.
board without recommendation, but to approve the balance of the administration's recommendations.
Correct.
Yes?
With the fee schedule coming.
With the fee schedule coming forward
The
to the
board.
board in the interim.
Yes. Well done, Director Reza.
Very well done. Shall I go ahead and call? Director Reza?
Aye.
Director Zomber?
Aye.
Director Jackson?
Aye.
And Chair O'Halloran?
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Teamwork makes the dream work. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 3 is action on a request for Title I, Part A, EdFlex waiver. The recommendation is that the board approve the submission of the EdFlex waiver to the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction.
Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Caselli, Superintendent. This evening, I'm joined by Aicha Sava and members of the grant and finance teams to present our request to carry over Title I grant funds. During this report, we will outline the amount of funding eligible for carryover and request to submit a Title I Part A EdFlex waiver. Following the presentation, we're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chair O'Halloran and fellow committee members. Aicha Sava, Chief Financial Officer. This file is to grant administration the approval to submit an application to DPI for the EdFlex waiver of the amount over the 15% carryover for Title I. This total amount is $4.7 million, which $357,000 of that is the public school side, which is our side, and $4.3 million is the private school side. So this $4.7 million is the amount that we're going to be requesting to carry over the 15%. So we already are carrying over 15%, but that's already underneath the grant rules. So that is what this file is doing. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. And we did bring forward this file last year as well.
Thank you for that additional context. Do committee members have questions or wish to make comments? I don't see any hands. Office of Accountability and Efficiency, any concerns or questions aside from needing perhaps water for a cough? All right. What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item then? Director Jackson?
Okay, no problem. Yes, I move to approve the action on the Title I and Part A Ed Flex waiver.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director Jackson's motion to approve the request for a Title I Part A Ed Flex waiver, Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
and Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Item 4 is action on a request to approve conservation easements between Milwaukee Public Schools, the City of Milwaukee, and Milwaukee Metropolitan Sewerage District. The recommendation is that the board approve the limited-term conservation easements between Milwaukee Public Schools and the City of Milwaukee in favor of the Milwaukee Metropolitan Sewerage District.
Would the administration please present the item?
Chair O'Halloran and members of the committee, Brenda Caselli as superintendent. This evening, we're asking for your approval of the item before you as it pertains to a conservation easement between MPS, the City of Milwaukee, and Milwaukee Metropolitan Sewerage District. I'm joined by Mike Terza, an interim chief of facilities and maintenance services, to engage with me in answering any questions you may have.
Thank you. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Office of Accountability and Efficiency? Seeing none, what is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item, please? Director Zomber?
I move approval of the administration's recommendation regarding the conservation easement.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
On Director Zomber's motion to approve the administration's recommendations regarding the conservation easements, Director Reza,
Aye.
Director Zomber,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
and Chair O'Halloran.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, that was the last item on this evening's agenda.
Thank you. As a reminder, a meeting of the Committee on Legislation, Rules, and Policies will begin shortly. There being no further business before this committee, we stand adjourned. Adjourned.